my dear students. Welcome to the first English class of this academic year. Today I am going to deal with the poem Once Upon a Time from Unit 1 written by Gabriel Okara. Before I begin, here's an inspiring thought for you. Learn to love with all your heart and accept the unlovable side of others. For anyone can love a rose, but it takes a great heart to include the thorns. So my dear students, shower your unconditional love on others and make this world a beautiful place. Before going into the poem, let's know more about our poet Gabriel Okara. He is a Nigerian poet and novelist. His poems have been translated into many languages. Before establishing himself as an accomplished writer in 1960, he had written poems for Black Orpheus. He was conferred the Best Award for Literature at the Nigerian Festival of Arts in 1953. He was also honored with the Commonwealth Poetry Award. Okara's specialty is that his poems emerge from everyday reality, merge with moments of delight, and move back to reality, making a complete circle. His prose and poetry were infused with African thought, folklore, and imagery. Okara's poems show great sensitivity, perceptive judgments, and a tremendous energy. His first novel, The Voice, is an outstanding linguistic experiment. His later works include a collection of poems, The Fisherman's Invocation, and 2 books for children, Little Snake and Little Frog, and An Adventure to Juju Island. This poem, Once Upon a Time, reminds one of William Wordsworth's ode, Intimations of Immortality from Recollection of Early Childhood. Okara illustrates the changes a father has seen in him throughout his life, which have been influenced by the way the society has changed. Children acquire important life skills and values by observing and imitating grown-ups like parents or teachers. Can it be the other way around? In this poem, a parent wants to learn something from the son. Let's find out how. Have you come across real and fake people in your life? Real people. Real people are people representing one's true nature or beliefs, true to oneself or to the persons around them. When your friend asks for your well-being and success, he is said to be a real person. Fake people. Fake people are people who act like your friend, but the truth is that they are backstabbers who talk behind your back and say the rudest things about you. Today, we are going to witness both the kinds of people in this poem. Let's see the poetic lines and their explanation. Once upon a time, son, they used to laugh with their hearts and laugh with their eyes. But now, they only laugh with their teeth. While their eyes block cold eyes, search behind my shadow. The first line gives an impression that this poem is going to be based on a story or a fairy tale. The speaker, who is a father, is addressing his son. He explains how things used to be and how people used to laugh with their hearts and eyes back in the past. In contrast, nowadays laughter is more of a show of teeth and the eyes lack emotions which look for material benefits other than true love. In this stanza, the speaker compares the attitudes of the people in the past and the present. Look at the glossary. The phrase laugh with their teeth means to fake a laugh or laugh without associated emotions. Eyes block cold eyes means eyes lacking a feeling of warmth or endearing expression. Search behind my shadow means people are hypocritical, and they don't mean what they say. There was a time indeed they used to shake hands with their hearts. But that's gone, son. Now they shake hands without hearts, while their left hands search my empty pockets. In the second stanza, he further talks about the personalities of the people of the past. The speaker tries to say that the art of shaking hands has also changed. In the past, a greeting was genuine and a person was welcomed for who they were. But nowadays, people shake hands only after confirming their financial status. The meaning of the phrase, while their left hands search my empty pockets, means evaluating the narrator's worth and power or calculating how he could be exploited. Feel at home, come again. They say when I come again and feel at home once, twice, there will be no thrice. For then I find doors shut on me. In the third stanza, people invite you round to their homes, making out as if you are important to them. But if you don't measure up socially or your status isn't quite right, you are not invited again. People nowadays are artificial and fickle because of the change in culture. So I have learnt many things, son. I have learned to wear many faces, like dresses, home face, office face, street face, host face, cocktail face, with all their conforming smiles, like a fixed portrait smile. The first three stanzas outline the speaker's perception of changing culture, attitudes, and values in people. The fourth stanza describes how the speaker himself had to change and learn in order to comply. He uses a comparison, faces to dresses, to highlight the various personas he took on, all the while smiling. The repeated use of face is affixed to various places and situations. The phrase cocktail face means face showing mixed emotions. And the phrase conforming smiles like a fixed portrait smile means wearing a standard, deceitful, artificial smile on all occasions. And I have learned too to laugh with only my teeth and shake hands without my heart. I have also learned to say goodbye when I mean good riddance, to say glad to meet you without being glad, and to say it's been nice talking to you after being bored. In this stanza, the speaker has also become adept at the heartless handshake and hollow toothy smile. Also, he knows how to deceive people with his farewells and welcomes and false politeness. Basically, he is saying that he has become an integral part of this new culture. The meaning of the phrase good riddance means expression of relief at being free of an unwanted person. But believe me, son, I want to be what I used to be. When I was like you, I want to unlearn all these muting things. Most of all, I want to relearn how to laugh, for my laugh in the mirror shows only my teeth like a snake's bare fangs. In the sixth stanza, the speaker says that he is not happy being a conformist. He wants to regain the former innocence, which the youngster still holds. He doesn't want to be a part of this new culture and also all these muting things. Here muting means to deaden. The word fangs means teeth of a venomous snake used to inject poison. So show me, son, how to laugh. Show me how. I used to laugh and smile once upon a time when I was like you. In the seventh stanza, the poet wants his son to imbibe the exemplary values of the past. Towards the end of the poem, the poet appeals to his son to show him how to smile wholeheartedly. He desires to revisit the past, as the past is nothing but a yearning for the innocence, faithfulness, and sincerity. Let us sum up the poem. Poet Okara condemns false appearances projected by people to safeguard their own interest. He bemoans the loss of genuine laughter and deep relationship between friends when he was a kid. He is saddened by the inconsistent nature of people and how successfully they take emotions to suit their convenience and personal ends. They show false warmth during daily exchanges of courtesy and wear masks to prevent discovery of their real feelings. The poet admits that he had also become a hypocrite like the rest, and his reflection in the mirror does not reflect warmth of human love but the fangs of a snake, deadly enough to kill the fellow humans. So he requests his son to teach the forgotten art of spontaneous and genuine laughter similar to his boyhood days. Let us see the themes of this poem. The first theme is change. How people change over the years and become false and untrustworthy. Second is influence. The influence of the Western culture has made people fake and selfish. Third one is dishonesty. Nowadays people hide their true intentions and are dishonest to their fellow beings. Fourth one is innocence or childhood. The innocence that is lacking in today's society. Let us see the poetic devices applied in the poem. The poem has 43 lines divided into 7 stanzas. As it is written in free verse, there is no rhyme scheme and rhyming words in the poem. The other poetic devices are repetition. It is a figure of speech wherein a word or a group of words is repeated. It is used to create rhythm and bring attention to an idea. Example, once upon a time in the first and last lines. Next is simile. A simile is a direct comparison between two unlike things using the words like or as. Examples, like dresses, home face. Face is compared to dress. Conforming smile like a fixed portrait smile. Our smile is compared with portrait smile. When I was like you, I want. Father is compared with son. Once upon a time when I was like you. Shows only my teeth like a snake's bare fangs. Teeth is compared with the snake's fangs. Next is metaphor. A metaphor makes an indirect comparison between two unlike things or ideas. Example, ice block cold ice. Our eyes are indirectly compared to ice blocks. Next is sarcasm. Sarcasm is a form of verbal irony that mocks, ridicules, or expresses contempt. You are saying the opposite of what you mean. Example, feel at home, come again. I have also learned to say goodbye, to say glad to meet you. It's been nice talking to you. Hope you have understood the poem. Being honest may not get you a lot of friends, but it will always get you the right ones. So be honest and truthful to others and spread love and affection. Thank you.